Black women, have you ever felt like you've been the caretaker for everyone else in your life? Well, I'm here to tell you, it's time to break free. Our exclusive membership community, Legacy Shifters, we've created an experience specifically for Black women just like you. Through live workshops with me, Montina Galloway, a licensed therapist, and my expert team, plus a private app-based community of women who understand, you'll gain the tools that you need to set boundaries, to prioritize yourself without guilt, and create a life that's truly yours. Don't wait. Join today. You'll save with our annual membership discount. Visit legacy-shiftersmn.co. Say it with me. I deserve this. Legacy Shifters is here to help you live it.
Hey, y'all. Hey, Tori.
Hey, Nani. Hey, everyone.
Welcome back, everybody, to Restored Healing Conversations, where we keep it raw, real, and honest. I am Nani, your client success coordinator here at Galloway Counseling.
And I'm Tori. I'm one of the therapists here. And like Nani said, every week we unpack the real stuff, especially the parts of healing that we don't talk about enough. And so today's topic is really close to my heart because so many of us skip this part. So celebrating your growth in the healing process. And today we're going to be focusing on unpacking the overachiever mindset and reclaiming your identity after being the responsible one. So let's get into it.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about this. So how many of us have been told from a young age that we were the responsible one, the one that everyone can rely on, because it becomes ingrained in us that we forget what it feels like to just be ourselves, to not have to be perfect, and to not have to always perform. And so this is a big one, especially for Black women who've been raised with a strong, resilient mindset. You're doing everything for everyone else, but you never feel like you can just be.
That's real. And the kicker is so many of us don't even realize how much we've lost our sense of self until we stop and think about it. We're constantly pushing forward, doing for others, achieving, taking care of everything, but we're not taking care of ourselves. It's like we're the caregivers, but no one is taking care of us.
Yes. And so often when we start unpacking this role, it's like, how do we even stop doing it? How do we start being? Because we've been trained to believe that our worth is tied to what we can do or how much we can give to other people. But I just want to say that really that's not your true identity. You are more than your responsibilities. You're more than your achievements and what you do for other people. And you are allowed to simply exist and be valued for just that.
Yeah, I love that part. The simply exist. I think that's the hardest thing for so many of us to believe, especially when being useful or needed was how we stayed safe or knew that we were loved by those around us. Who am I if no one needs me? But imagine the freedom in knowing you don't have to earn your worth every day, that it's already there, already yours. That's what we're learning to come back to.
Yes, exactly. And it takes time to really let that sink in, especially when your whole identity has been wrapped around being needed. But the real healing starts when you realize you are lovable, even when you're not performing. You are still enough, even in stillness. And I think that is the big shift. And it's not always easy, but it is so worth it.
And how does that come up for you with your clients and the work that you do here at Galloway Counseling?
Yeah, so typically when I'm working with clients, especially when they have been parentified, a lot of the times their identity is, again, it's tied to helping other people, whether it's friends, being the strong one in the friend group. And so a lot of the times in the beginning, like sometimes clients cannot see how they can shift their identity. Like they sometimes forget like the things that they enjoy. They often say like, I can't believe that I was living for other people rather than living for myself.
Mm,
And so it brings up like a lot of discomfort because you realize, again, like you were not really being yourself because when you show up and give to other people, you could be showing up because you believe that's how they want you to show up, right?
wait,
So the people pleasing component.
right. So you're showing up how you are assuming or what's expected to you, whether it's said or unsaid, but it's not
Right.
authentic. It's not real. That's not who you truly are. Absolutely. I love that. I think that's what makes the journey so beautiful, though. It's not about rushing to that realization, it's about just allowing yourself the grace to slowly come back to your truth, slowly come back to your real authentic identity. It's about getting comfortable with, like you said, that stillness and trusting that you don't have to earn your place in this world, in your family, your relationships, your friendships. You just have to be you. There's no one in the world that's like you. So lean into that.
Yes. And I think that so many of us fear that if we stop doing, like we stop overextending ourselves, that we will either disappear or become irrelevant. But the truth of that is when we stop, we make room for things that truly matter to us. And
Mhm.
so we connect with the parts of ourselves that got buried underneath all of the pressures, the expectations, and the constant need to perform. So the quiet isn't something to be afraid of. It's where the real healing happens and where we rediscover who we really are without the weight of all those expectations.
Mhm. Yes, Tori, you are spitting today. All right, let's take a minute for some reflection. I want all of you watching right now to think about this. What's one thing that I've done recently that's been a step forward in reclaiming my identity outside of being responsible? So maybe it was something small like saying no to something you didn't want to do, my favorite thing. Okay. Or maybe you took a break when you needed it. You took a break before your body forced you to take a break. Um, Maybe you took a mental health day at work, right? So let that sit with you. Think about that and recognize that that's progress.
And if you didn't celebrate that, just ask yourself why. Was it because you were so used to moving on to the next thing?
Mm.
Did you think it wasn't worth celebrating? Because a lot of the times we focus on these huge milestones that we forget all of the little accomplishments that we've made to reach that mindset, that milestone. So let's shift that narrative, y'all.
In reclaiming my identity outside of being responsible. So maybe it was something small like saying no to something you didn't want to do, my favorite thing. Okay. Or maybe you took a break when you needed it. You took a break before your body forced you to take a break. Um, Maybe you took a mental health day at work, right? So let that sit with you. Think about that and recognize that that's progress.
And if you didn't celebrate that, just ask yourself why. Was it because you were so used to moving on to the next thing?
Mm.
Did you think it wasn't worth celebrating? Because a lot of the times we focus on these huge milestones that we forget all of the little accomplishments that we've made to reach that mindset, that milestone. So let's shift that narrative, y'all. Every step forward counts, and you deserve to honor it.
Absolutely. So we'd love to hear in the comments, what is a win, a small step forward? Baby steps are progress too, y'all. Okay. So what is something that you can share with us? We'd love to join you in celebrating yourself. But real talk though, how many of y'all have had those moments where, you've done the hard work, set boundaries, said no, showed up for yourself, but you still felt like it wasn't a big deal, even though it's something that you don't do enough, that you're working on it being your default mode of showing up for yourself, but we still don't want to celebrate. It's like, I did it, but I can't stop now. I need to do more. It's like, even in the healing, we can be overachieving and like, we get stuck in that loop of doing without ever really taking the time to acknowledge how far we've come.
And that's what happens when we don't take time to celebrate ourselves. We keep pushing through. It's then we get caught into survival mode. And so healing isn't about surviving, it's also about thriving. And thriving just means that you're recognizing the small wins, the moments of growth, and honoring them.
Yeah, it's gratitude, showing gratitude for yourself on your
Yeah.
journey, gratitude towards the just ability to heal and to recognize the shifts that you need and taking those steps. So, y'all, I want us to get into some questions from our community. So these are real voices, real experiences, and we love bringing them into space because they remind us that we're all not alone in this. All right. So this first one really stayed with me, Tori. So this person said, I'm doing the work, going to therapy, journaling, trying to stay present, but I still don't trust myself. Like I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. That word trust, like,
So I'm guessing you're wondering, like, is that normal? And I just want to say that, like, yes, that is normal. And honestly, I want to validate how much effort you're really putting in, like trusting yourself after trauma, because parentification can be traumatic. So it takes time. Like your nervous system is still learning that it's safe to believe in your own choices again. That hypervigilance, that's not failure. It's a protective part of you that's still healing. And so over time, with consistency and compassion, that part will start to soften. So yes, what you're feeling is normal and it's temporary.
Yeah, I love that. The hypervigilance, that's a real part of parentification, of really just overly analyzing everything, that perfectionist quality, because we know that that is what we needed in our family dynamics or in our household in order to survive. Like we had to try to have a control over things, but healing should feel freeing, and it just takes time to get into that mode of, like Tori said, softening that hypervigilance so that you can start to believe in yourself and trust yourself. Okay, so here's another one that I also think was really honest, really raw. So I know forgiveness is supposed to be freeing. Oh my gosh, I literally just said that. Okay, I know forgiveness is supposed to be freeing, but I'm still angry. I don't want to carry this anymore. I also don't feel ready to let the anger go. What do I do with that?
Yeah, this is such an important question. And it's such a real place to be in because forgiveness isn't a one time decision, it is a process. So, and you don't have to rush it. Okay. You're allowed to feel anger. Anger is a valid part of the healing journey. It's often a protecting, it's protecting a deeper pain. So if you're not ready to let it go, that's okay. But start by being honest with yourself about what still hurts and why. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you're excusing what happened. Because a lot of times clients will say, well, if I forgive, then that means that I accepted it or that it was okay. And it's like, no, that doesn't mean that you excused it. It just means that you're choosing peace for you, but it's on your timeline and it's not anyone else's.
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. I feel like this next question is really going to hit home for so many people, especially those who have experiences of parentification and being the strong one in their dynamics. So this person says, I've always been the responsible one in my family, the one who holds it all together. But now I'm realizing I don't even know who I am outside of that role. How would you recommend starting to figure that out?
Yeah, that's a real one. And so when you've been carrying the weight of being the reliable one for so long, it's definitely disorienting, even scary to let that role go, right? But reclaiming your identity starts with permission. Okay, permission to not have it all figured out, permission to rest, to explore what you like, want, and need without it being tied to someone else's expectations. So I want you to try asking yourself, if I didn't have to be responsible for anyone else right now, what would I be curious about? Because identity isn't something you have to force. It's something that you get to rediscover.
Yeah, I love that. So, what other tools and strategies have you seen really work for your clients?
I think the main thing is really going into like what you value,
Mm,
because again, when you are, you know, showing up for other people and managing their expectations, you don't really show up authentically. So, starting with the needs inventory, creating a core value list. What do you value in your relationships? What do you value at work?
mm,
Um, Maybe talking to like your inner child and just basically thinking of the things that you maybe had interest in when you were a child, but never really got to do.
right.
Um, so doing things like that, like inner childhood, going back to that, figuring out your needs and your values is going to be very important.
Absolutely. I love that, especially the core values, because once you actually write it down or say it out loud, what you value in your relationships or at work, and other parts of your life, and then you start to think about how,
Mhm.
those relationships and your work life, your home life actually is, you're like, okay, well, some of these things are outside of my values. So it's really helpful to do that because then you recognize what is conflicting in your life. So here's another one that really speaks to, I feel like, the heart of this topic, this episode today, y'all. So this person said, I've started pulling back from always being the go to person from everyone. And even though I know it's what I need, I feel so guilty. How do I deal with that guilt?
Yes, the guilt is so real. Again, especially when you've spent years or your whole life being the dependable one. And so the thing is that guilt doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. I know that we've said this in a previous episode, but I want to really highlight that point. It means that you're doing something different and that discomfort is a part of the shift. Okay. You're not abandoning people. You're choosing to include yourself in the equation. So letting others feel a little disappointed in service of your own healing isn't selfish. It's self-honoring. And so over time that guilt starts to ease, and especially as your nervous system gets used to not being in overdrive all the time.
Uh, wow, this has been such a good episode. Okay, let's quickly recap, y'all. So, being the responsible one, this may have shaped your identity, but that's not who you are at your core. You deserve to step out of that role and start reconnecting with yourself, shedding other people's expectations, society's expectations, taking off that strong Black woman cape and tapping into, who are you? Like, who is Tori? Who is Nani? Who are you?
And just remember that the healing is a journey. A lot of the times you go into healing and think that it like it has an endpoint, but in reality, you're always growing, you're always maybe healing. Um, and so it is a journey. And so it's not just about the big wins. Every small step that you take matters. Celebrate that growth. Honor yourself, even if it feels uncomfortable. You got this.
All right, y'all. If today's conversation resonated with you, I want everyone to please check out Legacy Shifters, that clip you saw at the beginning of this episode. If you're interested in a community all about breaking these cycles and unlearning overachievement and perfectionism, over caregiving, over responsibility, and celebrating your growth, learning how to do that for yourself in a community of other Black women who are also going to celebrate you, check out Legacy Shifters. We are here to support each other without shame, without guilt, just growth, healing, community, and support. So the link is in the comments, and we'd love to invite you to the next workshop and to see you in the future.
Yes. And so if today's conversation resonated with you, don't skip the next step. So I'm currently assessing clients here, and I would love to help you reclaim your identity, I do a lot of that with clients and helping them celebrate their progress along the way. So hit the link in the comments to book a 15-minute phone consultation.
All right, y'all. Thanks for tuning in and hanging with us today. Don't forget, healing is not just about surviving. Celebrate every step, big or small, and we will see you next time on the very last episode of Restored Healing Conversations. Bye, y'all. Bye, Tori.
Bye.
What if strength wasn't about carrying it all, but knowing when to lay it down? Hey there, my name is Montina Galloway. I'm a licensed therapist. I'm the owner of Galloway Counseling, and I also created the Don't Call Me Strong retreat. And it is a retreat experience that is specifically designed to support the healing of Black women caregivers, whether they became caregivers intentionally by profession or unintentionally from a young age. The Don't Call Me Strong retreat is a retreat that's designed as a sanctuary for Black women to release the burdens of perpetual strength, reconnect with their authentic selves, and heal in a supportive community. Join the wait list. You do not have to do this alone.